Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yep, thank you. Gonna get a little noise. It's the after. We're not in the morning anymore. Welcome. Hello. It's nice seeing you all at the 34th African American Read-In. We've been doing this for 34 years. It's pretty neat and weird. That is pretty cool. Thank you all for being here. Just so, as a reminder, we have cookies. If you get at least 4, I remember it was 4, they told me 5 afterwards, but at least 4, that'll be great. So, I'm Xander, I'm the host today. It is great to be here. There's a few folks that I want to recognize here that have helped put this event together this year. Of course, we're at the building that we're in, Kenosha Public Museum. Thanks, y'all. Thank you for the building, the setup, all the chairs. We've got Kenosha Public Library. That's where I'm from. We've got the Bookmobile outside. If you have never been or seen the Bookmobile before, feel free to check it out. We also have books targeting for adults for the big read that's taking place this year as well. So if you want a free book, you can check out over there too. The AAUW also helping make this event possible, as well as Kenosha Community Media. We see Jason with the camera right there, making sure we're getting recorded on here. The Kenosha Literacy Council is here as well. They've been helping us get this event going and started. And the main organizers bringing all of this together, the Kenosha Coalition for Dismantling Racism, all that puts this together for the African American Read-In. So this year, we're honoring Nancy Matthews. And Doug, if you're ready, if you want to come up and finish that acknowledgement, then we'll keep going with the program. All right, Doug.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Doug Dahman, and I work at the Kenosha Public Museums as the curator and site coordinator of the Civil War Museum next door. I wanted to take this brief opportunity on behalf of the board members, volunteers, and staff of the Kenosha Public Museums to say how excited we are to be hosting the African American Read-In as an in-person event after going to a virtual format for the past 2 years. The Read-In is an outstanding celebration of African American literature and something all of us look forward to hosting each year. I and the other members of the African American Read-In Planning Committee would also like to take a moment to publicly recognize the amazing life and outstanding contributions made by Nancy Matthews, both as a member of the Planning Committee for the Read-In and as a museum educator at the Kenosha Public Museums. Nancy joined the staff of the Kenosha Public Museums on December 27, 1989, as the curator of education. She came to Kenosha from the Field Museum in Chicago, where she had worked as an educator since 1984. Throughout her career at the Kenosha Public Museum, Nancy worked with local districts and teachers to create school group programs and tours. She organized countless workshops and public programs for children and adults. She designed and created exhibits and spaces for imaginative play and represented the museum while serving on many civic groups and organizations. She was a tireless worker with boundless energy who consistently labored for the good of the museum and her community. As a longtime member of the African American Read-In Planning Committee, Nancy was instrumental in the yearly planning, promotion, and implementation of this event. She loved this and put her heart and soul into it. For many years, Nancy was also a member of the Kenosha Coalition for Dismantling Racism. She worked with the group to help plan, promote, and present courageous conversations on racism, inequality, education, and other important topics that impact our local community. Nancy retired from the Kenosha Public Museums in 2019, but continued to remain active as a volunteer at the museums and for a variety of civic groups. She was always ready to volunteer at the museum, at her church, or at countless other local organizations at a moment's notice. Nancy lost her long and courageous battle with cancer this past fall. In closing, Nancy wrote this about her life, one dedicated to serving others within her community, and I quote, "To be involved in 3 new museums, countless programs, and permanent and temporary exhibits is more than I could have ever imagined. I am so grateful for the experiences of my lifetime, the opportunities to serve my community, and all I have learned during my tenure. Nancy's legacy lives on in the exhibits and public programs of the Kenosha Public Museums. We thank you, Nancy, for your years of support and contribution. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Doug. Next up, right next to the program, we have our community sing of Lift Every Voice and Sing with Essie Bennett. Essie, would you come on up here?
Good afternoon. This is such a beautiful crowd out here to support what the Literacy is doing. You gotta give yourselves a hand. And as for clapping, let's stand up and respect, lift every voice and sing. I should know by heart by now, but I do not. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn has died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a place that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is
All right, all right, all right. You ready to hear some readings? All right, so I'm gonna let us know how this is gonna go for a little bit. So, we're gonna have some readings. I'm gonna announce our first reader. They can come on up here. If they can, they can just walk on up like I've been doing. They can come up the side as well. We've got stairs on this side. If we have some vertical challenges, we got a little stool. You can just move this over here, stand in front of it. That'll be perfectly fine. And we're not going to necessarily need to pick up the mic for our readers. You can just stand back, project. That's going to pick up for the whole room. We all got that? Yep. All right, and we've got a split between our readers. So we'll have the first few of our reading selections. Then we're going to have an author, a local author, Rihanna Johnson, here to read her book, which is for sale out there. And then we're going to come back and do some more readings before we start with our meditation and our closing remarks. Does that sound good for everybody? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to ask for our first reader, Mayor John Antaramian. Feel free to come on up.
Wasn't too sure about that, and I'll pass on the stairs, though. Hate to admit that I might need that too. The author I chose was Morgan Harper Nichols, and the poem that I chose is All Along You're Blooming. There will be days when you do not feel fearless, and you choose to get up and go out to sea anyway. And my friend, let me tell you, that is what it means to be brave. It is that gentle shove towards the water that says, I will go, and I will go afraid. It is not a feeling, it's not a thought. It is the inward wind that pulls you out of your sleep and says, I will go forth. With all I have now, a breath, a dozen steps, and a pocket full of fears. But no matter that tries to pull me back, I will find the strength to be there.
Hi, everyone. So I'm reading two poems by Gene Toomer from his 2023 considered literary masterpiece of the Harlem Renaissance entitled Cain. The first poem is called Reapers. Black reapers with the sound of steel on stones are sharpening scythes. I see them place the hones in their hip pockets as a thing that's done, and start their silent swinging one by one. Black horses drive a mower through the weeds, and there a field rat, startled, squealing, bleeds, his belly close to ground. I see the blade, blood-stained, continue cutting weeds and shade. The second poem is called November Cotton Flower. Boll weevils coming and the winter's cold made cotton stalks look rusty, seasons old, and cotton, scarce as any southern snow, was vanishing. The branch, so pinched and slow, failed in its function as the autumn rake. Drought-fighting soil had caused the soil to take all water from the streams. Dead birds were found in wells 100 feet below the ground. Such was the season when the flower bloomed. Old folks were startled, and it soon assumed significance. Superstition saw something it had never seen before. Brown eyes that loved without a trace of fear. Beauty so sudden for that time of year.
Gregory Bennett, you walk in. What's up?
What's cracking? How y'all doing?
Doing well, how are you? Good.
My hair ain't there, so I got a hat on. You know. Welcome to my culture. Feeble, ignorant, wistful minds who don't understand time say can't all the time when can't doesn't exist, when we don't have no concept of time. My name's Gregory Bennett Jr. And this is one called Dear Little Black Boy. Dear little black boy, first off, love. Stay guarded, open-hearted. If and when you get hurt, don't give up on love. That's just knowledge. Remain polished, not tarnished, regardless of what music and media is feeding you. That's toxic. We dying. Brolic is what the world would groom you to be. The biggest muscle is your brain for your third eye to see Odyssey. Dear little black boy. As soon as you're able to stop being spoon-fed, use your head, start searching from where your roots led. History is his story. We all know the definition of insanity, so don't plan to be disappointed. No plan to be disappointed because we damned to be. Speak, Lord, speak to me. Oh, speak, Lord, won't you speak to me? Because without you, I can't heal my soul from these lies told, redacted facts that low-key take away the freedom of speech and press, but forgetting the importance of admittance. Repentance is all they can. But, little black boy, you will grow to be a man, endangered, feared species, but leader and protector you must be. Don't count on anyone to love you like you, because even after you have a daughter, sometimes you'll forget to do that too. Some will fear, some will hate, but you have godly royalty blood. Do your research and stop yearning for the world's hugs. We the people will never succeed until little black boys become men of men's and lead. Protect our queens. This is a union, not a competition. Division is the goal. Little black boy, don't fail for the okie doke, or don't fall for the okie doke. Dear little black boy, dream, succeed, lead. Don't become what you hate. Being selfish is more than a little kid with candy trait. Teach and guide, walk with that stride, but realize that leaders are still leaders, even if they only save 2 lives. Never victimize, realize the lesson is everything. The present is the present. Count your blessings. Little black boy, take it all in with all your senses. To all people, be true. Love your culture unapologetically. I'm rooting for you, little black boy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to see you all today. I'm going to be sharing some excerpts from James Baldwin's essay, The Creative Process. Perhaps the primary distinction of the artist is that he must actively cultivate the state which most men necessarily must avoid, the state of being alone. That all men are, when the chips are down, alone. And a banality because it is frequently stated, but very rarely on the evidence believed, most of us are not compelled to linger with the knowledge of our aloneness, for it is this knowledge that can paralyze all action in this world. There are, forever, swamps to be drained, cities to be created, minds to be exploited, and children to be fed, but none of these things can be done alone. None of these things can be done alone, but the conquest of the physical world is not man's only duty. He is also enjoined to conquer the great wilderness of himself. The precise role of the artist then is to illuminate that darkness, blaze roads through the vast forest, so that we will not, in all of our doing, lose sight of its purpose, which is, after all, to make the world a more human place. It is for this reason that all societies have battled with the incorrigible disruptor of peace, the artist. I doubt that the future societies will get on him any better. The entire purpose of a society is to push against the inner and outer chaos in order to make life bearable and to keep the human race alive. And it is absolutely inevitable that when a tradition has evolved, whatever the tradition is, the people in general will suppose it has existed from before the beginning of time and will not be most willing and indeed unable to conceive of any changes of it. They do not know how they will live without those traditions and that have given them their identity. Their reactions when it is suggested that they can or that they must is a panic. And we see this panic, I think, everywhere in the world today, from the streets of New Orleans to the grisly battleground of Algeria, and the higher level of consciousness among the people is the only hope we have now or in the future of minimizing human damage. The dangers of being an American artist are not greater than those of being an artist anywhere else in the world, but they are very particular. These dangers were produced by our history. They rest on the fact that in order to conquer this continent, the particular aloneness of which I speak, the aloneness in which one discovers that life is tragic and therefore unutterably beautiful, could not be permitted. And that this prohibition is typical of all emergent nations will be proved, I have no doubt, in many ways during the next 50 years. This continent is now conquered, but our habits and our fears remain. And in the same way that to become a social human being, one modifies and suppresses and ultimately, without great courage, lies to oneself about all one's interior, uncharted chaos, so have we as a nation modified or suppressed and lied about all the darker forces in our history. We know in the case of the person that whoever cannot tell himself the truth about the past is trapped in it. It is immobilized in the prison of his undiscovered self. This is also true of nations. We know how a person in such paralysis is unable to assess either his weaknesses or his strengths, and how frequently indeed he mistakes one for the other. And this I think we do. We are the strongest nation in the Western world, but this is not for the reasons that we think. It is because we have an opportunity, more so than any other nation in the West, to move beyond the old world concepts of race and class and caste to create finally what we must have had in mind when we first began speaking of the New World. But the price of this is a long look backward when we came in an unflinching assessment of the record. For an artist, the record of that journey is most clearly revealed in the personalities of the people the journey produced. Societies know it, but the war of an artist with a society is a lover's war, and he does at his best what lovers do, which is to reveal the beloved to himself, and with that revelation, to make freedom real.
We're going to skip a line and head to Tamara Coleman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have the distinct honor and privilege of reading a poem by Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman, The Miracle of Mourning. I thought I'd awaken to a world in mourning, heavy clouds crowding, a society storming. But there's something different on this golden morning, something magical in the sunlight, wide and warming. I see a dad with a stroller taking a jog. Across the street, a bright-eyed girl chases her dog. A grandma on a porch, fingering her rosaries. She grins as her young neighbor brings her groceries. While we might feel small, separated, and all alone, our people have never been more closely tethered. The question isn't if we will weather this unknown, but how will we weather this unknown together? So on this meaningful morn, we mourn and we mend. Like light, we can't be broken, even when we bend. As one, we will defeat both despair and disease. We stand with healthcare heroes and all employees. With families, libraries, schools, waiters, artists, businesses, restaurants, and hospitals were hit the hardest. We ignite not in the light, but in the lack thereof. For it is in loss that we truly learn to love. In this chaos, we will discover clarity. In suffering, we must find solidarity. For it's our grief that gives us gratitude, shows us how to find hope if we ever lost it. If we ever lose it, excuse me. So ensure that this ache wasn't endured in vain. Do not ignore this pain. Give it purpose. Use it. Read children's books. Right, Ms. Johnson? Dance alone to DJ music. Know that this distance will make our hearts grow fonder. From a wave of woes, our world will emerge stronger. We'll observe how the burdens break the humankind and almost the moments that made us humankind. Let every dawn find us courageous, brought closer, heading the light before the fight is over. When this ends, we'll smile sweetly, finally seeing in testing times we became the best of beings. And that's my piece.
My wife and I, we were preparing for Black History Month, and we stumbled across some things here that I figured I could share with every one of you. We stumbled across some, what they call knowledge cards. And it said, who said? Man, you gotta ask me, you'll never know. He was born in 1900. He died in 1971. He was a jazz trumpeter and vocalist. He was responding to a reporter. Louis Armstrong. It was like as in responding to the question, what is jazz? Is it to be expected from someone who helped create this great musical genre? Armstrong learned his chops in New Orleans, a city with rich multicultural musical heritage. Who said? Power concedes nothing without demand. It never did, and it never will. He was born in 1817, died 1895. Orator, writer, abolitionist. Anti-slavery speech titled West India, Emancipation, delivered at Canandaigua, New York City. Frederick Douglass. Who said? Don't look back. Something may be gaining on you. He was born in 1906, died in 1982. He was a baseball pitcher. How to Keep Young, that was the name of the book. Leroy Satchel Paige was the Babe Ruth of black baseball. During his incredible and lengthy career, he anticipated and illuminated personally, not to mention his blistering fastball called the beanball. Who said, no race can prosper until it learns that there is much dignity in tilling a field, as in writing a poem. He was born in 1856, died 1915. He was an educator, writer, orator. Washington's autobiography. Born into slavery in rural Virginia, Booker T. Washington graduated with honors from the Hampton Institute at the age of 19. In 1861, he became the first principal of Normal School for colored teachers in Tuskegee, Alabama. Who said, I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. Born 1929, died 1968. A Baptist minister, civil rights leader, recipient of a Nobel Peace Prize, Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you.
My poem is coming from a book called Things I Would Tell the Ocean by Kyla Farquhar. And it's titled, Who Am I? You are the seed of Abraham, born into royalty, crowned by a king years ago. You are the one they call chosen, anointed and appointed by God with gifts to spread the news. You are not your lips, your hips, or your fingertips. You are a jewel, a twinkle in your Father's eye, a vision that has come to pass. You are a delicacy, formed in your mother's womb, molded and crafted, his blood flowing through you. You are not a strand of gossip woven like a basket on a current of lies. You are not a side piece chick or a midnight call. You are his and he is yours. Your name etched in his flesh with every lash he took. He breathed his last breath for you. You have purpose. You are gifted. You are a daughter of the King. So the next time someone says you are nothing, that you don't mean a thing to this world, remember this. It's not about what, but who. Not what you can do, but who you belong to.
Hello, everyone. I'm a senior at Bradford High School. My name is Ariana Irvin, and today I'll be presenting a poem that I had the honor of presenting at the NAACP banquet last year. Here we gather today as our dreams become true. Sometimes I begin to ask myself, what makes you, you? What makes my people truly powerful, and how can I see it in me? But here I stand to tell you that we have always been the key. I come from the greatest warriors, the golden kings and queens, from the dismantlement of my culture when peace was farther than it seemed. They thought they shattered our voices, but today we sing a brighter song. But I stand before you to say we were powerful all along. From strange fruit on trees to the leaders of the NAACP, 3/5 of a person to the many offices we work in, Black Panthers fighting for peace to our own hero on the big screen, separation of a broken nation to community and celebration. Our vernacular, our song, our struggle, our pain, our pride, our joy. Together, we stand for the world to see. This is Black history.
I'll be reading the poem Life Doesn't Frighten Me by Maya Angelou. Shadows on the wall, noises down the hall. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Bat dogs barking loud, big ghosts in a cloud. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Mean old Mother Goose, lions on the loose. They don't frighten me at all. Dragons breathing flame on my counterplane. They don't frighten me at all. I go boo, make them shoo. I make fun, way they run. So I won't cry, so they fly. I just smile, they go wild. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Tough guys fight, all alone at night. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Panthers in the park, strangers in the dark. No, they don't frighten me at all. That new classroom where boys all pull my hair, kissy little girls with their hair in curls, they don't frighten me at all. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen to my scream. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Life doesn't frighten me at all, not at all, not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all.
Jamal Hansen, you get here as well? That's okay. Charisse Brown.
Hello. My book is actually a little kid's book that my husband and my family and I use to introduce activism to our littles. So this is a book that we started reading to our kids at like the age of 3, so they could get used to hearing the words of activism. So I'm just going to read an excerpt from it. A is for activist, advocate, abolitionist, ally, actively answering a call to action. Are you an activist? Funny story, when I was reading this, my son was 2, and he goes, I sure am. You know, you go, okay, well, if the Lord gave. B is for banner, bobbing in the sky, billowing in the breeze, because you're not shy. C is for co-op, cooperating cultures, creative counter to corporate vultures. Oh, and cats. Can you find the cats? Little d, democracy. More than voting, you'll agree. Dictators detest it. Donkeys don't get it. But you and me, we demand equality. Equal rights, black, brown, or white. Clean and healthy is a right. Every place we live and play, environmental justice is the way. F is for feminist, for fairness in our pay, for freedom to flourish and choose our own way. G is for grassroots, sprouting from below, sharing nutrients and the water's flow. Below the surface, we're all connected. Stronger together we grow. H is for healthy food, a human right. Honeydew, jicama, nature's delight. Hummus, hot dogs, Havarti cheese, hot dogs. Yes, healthy hot dogs, please. And pizza. Indigenous and immigrant, together we stand tall. Our histories are relevant. An injury to one is an injury to all. J is for justice. Yay for justice. Gia, Jean, Jane, Juanita, Jamal, justice for the janitors, justicia for all. And one more I'll do. Kings are fine for story time. Nights are fun to play. But when we make decisions, we will choose the people's way. LGBTQ, love who you choose, because love is true. Liberate your notions of limited emotions. Celebrate, reply, our links of devotion.
I have a children's book as well. My name is Cheryl Hernandez. I'm the director for the Kenosha Literacy Council, which is a school for adults who are learning to read and write. And just a little plug, if anyone in the room thinks they want to volunteer to help in that mission, I'd love to talk to you about that later, because we always need more volunteers. I chose the book Stacy's Remarkable Books by Stacey Abrams to share with you today. And the reason I chose this book is because it's about 2 of my favorite things: reading books and learning about new cultures. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it today for the sake of time, but you should all check it out from the library soon. It was recess, the best time of day. Kids ran around the playground shouting and laughing, playing and jumping. But instead of playing, Stacy laid beneath the big tree and read her book. In books, she could pretend to be good at everything, like making new friends and trying new things. Just then, Stacy looked up and saw Julie, the new kid in her class. "Do you want to read one of my books?" Stacy asked Julie. "No, thanks. I'm not very good at reading in English yet." Stacy thought for a moment and smiled. "Well, today is your lucky day. Today is Adventure Day." Adventure Day was her own special name for the day when her whole class, visited the library. When the class entered the library, the librarian greeted them with a smile. Stacy showed Julie her favorite section of the library, and taking turns, they picked out a stack of books almost as tall as they were. At home, I read in my family's language, Vietnamese, Julie explained, but one day, I would like to read every story in here. I'd like to tell stories too. Stacy understood. She had the same dream, to read every book ever written, to tell stupendous stories using extraordinary words. From then on, every Thursday, Stacy and Julie went on their own adventures. They hunted through the bookshelves to find tales that they could read together. One afternoon, Julie brought another student, Haiti, to their table. Haiti's family had moved from Gambia the year before. Soon, there were new students in their club. They read at recess and at Julie's house, by Haiti's pool, in the park, at Sam's birthday party. Sam was from South Korea. With her friends, Stacy learned beautiful words in languages she had never heard before, and she got to know more kids in her class, and the reading club got bigger and bigger, and the stories got better and better. I'll stop there, but I encourage you all to read some more today.
Well, that was a pretty nice first half, wasn't it? Oh, give a round of applause for everyone that's read so far already. So, with every reading, there is an author. And I am happy to introduce a local author who is going to be here to read her book. Today, we have Rihanna Johnson here to read her book and then talk a little more about herself, writing, and so forth. Rihanna, why don't you come on up here? Give her a round of applause, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to the 34th Annual African American Read Aloud. I'm so glad that each and every one of you is here today. Today is February 4th, 2013. Today is a brand new day. It is a day that has never come before, a day that will never come again. And so it's our opportunity and our responsibility to make the best and make the most of today. My name is Rihanna Johnson. I was born and raised here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm an educator, author, and entrepreneur. I attended Columbus, Harvey, and Roosevelt elementary schools. I went to McKinley Middle School and Indian Trail Academy. I participated in varsity sports at Tremper High School because ITA didn't have sports quite yet. I may be dating myself a little bit. I graduated in 2009 and went directly to Marquette University's campus that June at age 17. After taking Sociology 101 and doing lots of team building exercises that summer, I decided on psychology as a major. I was determined to start a career where I'd learn why people operate the way they do and be able to help them reach joy, success, and life fulfillment. Learning more about how people develop, how the brain develops, how trauma and circumstances from the very start of conception affect one's entire life quality made me want to help people even more. I believe that people didn't respond as positively to weekly counseling sessions and psychology as they did to teachers in a classroom daily. So after watching my mother work hard for 5 years in a classroom, I decided, after listening to her sappy, sad, and successful student stories, that I knew the classroom was a place that I could impact small humans positively. Teachers work with students every day. Every day, there are new opportunities. Going into teaching, I thought the children brought joy into our homes, and they were always reasons to be celebrated. I thought that when a child learned something new that made them feel empowered or braver or kinder or smarter, that they'd shared with their families, and their families would be excited and everyone would want to learn and become better people. As a teacher, I learned very quickly that too many children are not only not celebrated, they're not elevated, and too often, they're even put down. The children are our future. Let me say that again. The children are our future. It is our duty to pour our best into them so they can be greater than we are, so they can continue to create change and love in this world. As an educator, my philosophy includes cura personalis, which involves caring for the whole person. As an educator, my goal is to ensure all students are better people because of the time we've spent together, not just smarter because I taught them what I was supposed to. As an author, I hope to share the message of positivity and inclusion far and wide with students and families everywhere. We Are the People was written to help children discover the good inside themselves and get better at finding and pointing out good in others. When we feel good, we can uplift others and help others feel good. When more people feel good, more people do good. When more people do good, we can do really amazing things together in our world. I became an author to inspire my growing child to have a positive message inside of him and to inspire my students to keep growing their positive powers within. Without further ado, I'd like to share We Are the People with you. This book is lovingly dedicated to my sons, EJ, Emmanuel Jr., and Biggie, Elliot, who's 2 years old today. You can be all that you work to become in this world. Mommy loves you so much, always. I am a beautiful, bright flower. I am a jagged, rough stone. I and my people united. I and my people alone. You are so precious and powerful. You are so bright and strong. You are your people united. You are your people alone. She is a fresh breath of air. She is a call to a best friend on the phone. She is her people united. She is her people alone. They are more than enough. They are always concentrated in the zone. They are their people united. They are their people alone. We are joyful, angry rivers. We are heroines, yet unknown. We are our people united. We are our people alone. We are all people, broken, mended, still undone. We are the people, united and strong. I am a mighty, brave rock. I am a tree planted strong. I and my people united. I am my people alone. You are so hardworking and humble. You are an omnipresent drone. You are your people united. You are your people alone. He is a vulnerable, kind-hearted leader. He is a quiet, roaring groan. He is his people united. He is his people alone. They are confused and conquerors. They are gentlemen with rough tones. They are their people united. They are their people alone. We are wise beyond our years. We are the thunder and calm of the storm. We are our people united. We are our people alone. We are all people, broken, mended, still undone. We are the people, united and strong. Thank you.
Well, wasn't that wonderful? If you like that, just a reminder, the book is for sale. It's right out there. So we're gonna continue with our second half of readers out here. So I would like to bring up alderperson Anthony Kennedy. There he is.
Can we give another round of applause to Ms. Brianna Johnson? Thank you for sharing that with us. I got to give you a little bit of a preview before I read today. I'm going to take you to 2015, then I'm going to take you to August 2020, and I'm going to take you to a week ago. The excerpt I'm reading is from 2015. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's defense of Black Lives Matter. And I'm just going to read a little piece of it. In ancient Greece, a touchstone was a dark stone such as slate used to determine the purity of gold ore. Today, the phrase Black Lives Matter has become a political touchstone in determining the basic qualities of a leader: courage, vision, and intelligence. Courage is required in order to speak out in support of Black Lives Matter. So many Americans misunderstand the meaning of the phrase that there's an outrage backlash against it. The popular misconception seems to be saying Black Lives Matter, African Americans are seeking special attention. And in fact, it's the opposite. They're seeking their fair share of opportunities without receiving the special attention of being profiled, arrested, imprisoned, or killed. Most Americans are already in agreement that all lives matter. It's just that blacks want to make sure that they are included in that category of all, which so many studies prove is not the case. In the future, think of Black Lives Matter as a simplified version of, we would like to create a country in which Black lives matter as much as white lives in terms of physical safety, education, job opportunities, criminal prosecution, and political power. More important is the legitimate fear Black people have for their lives. The killing of unarmed Black men and women and children at the hands of police this past year has been well documented in the press. Please remember, this was written in 2015. We continue to see more names added to that list. The phrase Black Lives Matter isn't a metaphor. It's a call for awareness of the literal danger to one's physical body merely by being black in America. A danger that whites don't share. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote that in 2015. I told you I was going to take you on a trip. August 2020, I wrote this poem. This blackness is my birthright. I know this blackness is mine. I know this blackness makes me exceptional. And I'm not trying to discard my blackness. I just want to lay this blackness down for a little bit. Let me walk just a few steps without the cross of being black and the burden of this blackness. While I will not abandon the birthright of blackness, I just need a rest from my blackness. And I just wanted to share that with you because you all know what was going on in our town in August of 2020. And the piece, I really wanted to read something light and fun, but the thing that focused my mind towards this again was a voice of the people written by a friend of mine and a colleague. The ruination of our country can be attributed to the activist actions such as the modern-day wake movement, the cancel culture, gender inequality movement, and Black Lives Matter movement. Dr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talked to us in 2015. We lived these things in 2020, and yet we still have to make a defense in 2023. Thank you.
Pastor Lawrence Kirby.
Go ahead.
My great-grandparents, Brookie and Bufus McLean, were born in Mississippi and moved to Milwaukee in the 1930s. They had 7 children, and the youngest of which, Charles McLean, grew up to become a poet and a painter. He spent 34 years working at the Milwaukee Conservatory Theater, Repertory Theater, and he passed away in 2021. And so I want to share one of his writings, his poems. He would have been my grandmother's youngest brother, in honor of him and my family today. So this poem is called "The Gospel Lived Inside My Mother's Heart." It was a tribute to my great-grandmother, Brookie McLean. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. It was warm like Sunday morning. It was sweet like honey golden, bright, smooth flowing. It was like an angel song filled with love that makes you feel like somebody, makes you feel that you're living in God's world and you belong. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. It was the morning sunshine, delicate rays of light. It was love's healing salve that brings relief from heartache, pain, and strife. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. It was born and raised in Mississippi country land, sharecropping and dealing with racism, never hard to find. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. It was nurtured by love and survived on bitter soil, and took a stand in Mississippi country land. And the given word was a gift from above, filled with hope, faith, and surrounded by love. And holding on ain't nothing but a stroke for someone who wears the gospel like a beautiful cloak and believes its simplicity and love, a song for simple folk. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. It created fine, ornate, crocheted art that was starched and shaped just right to decorate a living room table or placed on a windowsill to welcome in the northern city sunlight. You see, the gospel moved up north, Midwest bound, looking for a piece of golden freedom, never really found. And money had to be made, a little extra on the side. And so the artwork was sold to help feed 7 children, all of which the gospel and mama took great pride. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. Its music was gentle wisdom, a spirit that never denied that a prayer prayed with faith would always come alive. And northern dreams and realities either break your spirit or set you free. And mama's grace through hardship she endured reached out and touched me. 47 years on earth was her time, multiplied by all the faith, hope, and spirit that reached out and touched others she left behind. The gospel makes itself known and stays alive when nurtured through love and truth and never lies. The gospel lived inside my mother's heart. Thank you.
Nicole Lawson, are you here?
Peace to Me by Esther Ashire. When I think of peace, I see myself in a world where I can truly be myself, who I choose to be, where I can just let go and be comfortable with who I am. A world with no hatred, racism, or pain. A world where no one is judged or criticized. A place with equality and value of people's lives. A time of joy and togetherness, where no one is thought as of good or evil, where creed or color is not looked at as right or wrong, good or bad, where no one is offensive, cruel, or rude, a place that makes it impossible to stay in a good mood,
When I think of peace, I see a gentle wave lapping up the beach, the smile shared between a mother and her child, the silence of peace and quiet, the lack of hatred, war, and riots. One day, nations will come together and be as one, just as the Lord wanted it to be. We are all one people put together in one world. When I think of peace, I see a better world for all of us.
I'm thinking this is going to be easy. I was wrong. What goes up must come down, and I'm going down that way. But I warned you. Okay. We got a little. Can y'all see me? No, but this is my book. How many people know that food is good for the soul? Good for the soul. And for us, my culture, our roots is deep in what we eat. Because most times, especially during slavery times, we had little ingredients, quality ingredients. Why am I so nervous? I usually ain't too nervous, but I'm just thinking, y'all make me nervous. So anyway, but I can talk about food all day, so I can talk about, But we had to do the best we could with hardly no ingredients, and we ended up making it good. So my book today, I thought I'd lighten it up a little bit and talk about something that I love, which is food. And really to actually inspire any of you to maybe go to the Sweet Home Cafe, which is in the African American Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. I often think back to this September 14, 2016, the day that the National Museum of African American History and the Culture was dedicated and opened for the American people. As I sat nervously on the stage with the President and Mrs. Obama and Mrs. Bush, Chief Justice Roberts, Congressman John Lewis, and a dizzying array of dignitaries and celebrities, I remember how we had worked to create a museum that would use the African American experience as a lens through which to understand what it means to be American. To achieve that goal, the museum had to serve and embrace everyone, regardless of race. That is why I ended up my remarks saying, welcome home. But what is a home without a space of welcome? A place to gather, a site to come together, to debate, reflect, smile, and welcome, a place to and smile, and that was good, where there's good food, which is the Sweet Home Cafe. With its award-winning regional cuisine, warmly and wonderfully fulfilled that dream. I encourage each and every one of you to go to the Sweet Home Cafe in Washington, D.C. And I couldn't probably really read to you anything about food if I didn't actually talk about a couple of dishes that are near and dear to my heart. How many people like macaroni and cheese? Is that not a staple? Even the kids, I knew I would get you on that one. So, but you didn't know this, though. In this book, it has a lot of history about food. And food historians debate whether Thomas Jefferson brought home a recipe for macaroni and cheese from England or from somewhere in northern Italy. No one knows. What we do know is that a variant of the dish was served at a state dinner in 1802 and mentioned in the report as pie called macaroni. A variation of this dish appeared in the Virginian Housewives in 1824 cookbook by Mary Randolph, a cousin of Jefferson's. Whatever its origins, the dish has been taken to the hearts and stomachs of African Americans in the United States and the Caribbean, where it is sometimes known by the British name macaroni pie. This version uses cheddar cheese that's in this book, though many cooks use very other types of cheeses. I wanted to think about Hoppin' John. I had heard about Hoppin' John all my life. Anybody heard about Hoppin' John? Okay, but I've never tasted it, but here's a little brief things that you should know. It is New Year's Day, and a Southerner is in the kitchen, or even in that room, there will probably be some Hoppin' John on the table. Native to South Carolina, Low Country, this humble dish of black-eyed peas and rice cooked together is a method brought from Africa. Has its culinary kin in the red beans and rice in Louisiana, of where they usually use black beans and rice, of Cuba. On New Year's Day, Hoppin' John symbolizes good luck. The rest of the year, it simply just tastes good. Then, as we talked a little bit earlier about, I had one more book that I wanted to share just briefly. Talked a little bit about when this museum opened in Washington, D.C. President Obama and Mrs. Obama was there, and I could not share a book with you if I didn't bring up Becoming Michelle Obama. When she was a little girl, Michelle Robinson's world was the south side of Chicago, where she and her brother Craig shared a bedroom in their family's upstairs apartments and played catch in the park, where her parents, Frazier and Marion Robinson, raised them to be outspoken and unafraid. But life soon took her much further than she'd ever imagined, where the halls of Princeton, where she learned for the first time what it felt like to be the only black woman in the room, to the glass office tower where she worked as a high-powered corporate lawyer, and where one summer morning a law student named Barack Obama appeared in her office and unpinned all of her carefully made plans. She looked at him and said, mm-hmm. So anyway, and for the first time, Michelle Obama describes the early years of her marriage as she struggles to balance her work and family from her husband's fast-moving political career. She takes the inside of their private debates over whether he should make a run for the presidency, and then narrowing the grace and good of humor and uncommon candor. She provides a vivid, behind-the-scenes account of her family's history-making launch into the global limelight, as well as their life inside the White House. Over 8 years, as she becomes to know the country and her country comes to know her. So I just wanted to just end with Michelle Obama in her words. There is still a lot I don't know about America, about life, about what the future might bring, but I do know myself. My father, Frazier, taught me to work hard, laugh often, and keep my word. My mother, Marion, showed me how to think for myself and how to use my voice. Together in our cramped apartment on the south side of Chicago, they helped me see the value of our story, and my story, and the larger story of our country. Even when it's not pretty or perfect, even when it's more real than you want it to be, your story is what you have, what you will always have, and it is something you own. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm State Representative Tim McGuire, and I'm going to read a poem today by Lucille Clifton, who's written many excellent poems, but this one's called Won't You Celebrate With Me? Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman, what did I see to be except myself? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed.
Well, when
Catherine warned about that step. I learned a long time ago to listen to Catherine, so I need a little help. So I'm going to read today from a book that I found in the great Kenosha Library, Freedom We Sing by Amira Leon. And it was recommended and endorsed by Amnesty International for reminding us that we're all born free and equal. I'm State Representative Todd Onstead, and isn't it great to be back here live and in person again? Families of stars surround me, every constellation humming a different melody. Sometimes the world seems so small I pretend to put it in my palm. I dance with her till night falls and the moon comes swaying in, giving the sun time to rise on all the other kin. Inhale, exhale. Mama tells me that there are children with hearts like mine, beating in their chest with different skin colors, hair, languages, and interests. They learn to walk and talk and dance and scream, just like me or anybody. Inhale, exhale. Mama tells me that there are mothers with hearts like ours, beating in their chests, running from war with whatever is left, doing everything they can to protect their children and their breath. Inhale, exhale. I wonder then what freedom is. Is it a place? Is it a thought? Can it be stolen? Can it be bought? Does freedom run through our veins? Can it be equal and maintained? Do I have it? Do I not? Can it be written? Can it be taught? Inhale, exhale. Mama tells me breath is freedom, a sweet release, a right to be, a universal sign of life and peace. The sky is our equality. It unites us with the world and our ancestry. Inhale, exhale. Breath is what makes us alive. It is a chance to swallow up the sky. Breath is a reminder that history is everywhere. We are the answer to our ancestors' prayers. May we dance into the sunrise. May we believe in our dreams. Inhale, exhale. Freedom is you. Freedom is me. We are free. We are free. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Sarah Payne, and I will be reading with you. Dear Black Girl, like tomorrow with wind-free hairs. Dear one, where is your light? What is the one shining thing that makes you yourself? Is it the way you talk? Is it the way you walk? Is it the way you talk? Is it the way your lip curls when you smile? Do you have a mole on your cheekbone? Does your hair wind around a certain way when it's wet? Do you blush when you are embarrassed? Is your skin tone hot butter browning in a pan or dark chocolate? Do you believe in justice? Do you believe in God? Does music make you soar? I ask these things because I urge you to know your lights. I know where it resides. That is the key to everything. There is a song that civil rights workers sing. This little light of mine. Their voices rang out in the face of terrible injustice and long odds. There are many things wrong in the world. When you see injustice, don't turn your light inward. Your light is your superpower. Hold it high for all. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. With your love, your sister in light.
The African pledge, author unknown. We will remember the humanity
glory and suffering of our ancestors and honor the struggle of our elders. We will strive to bring new value and new life to our people. We will have peace and harmony among us. We will be loving, sharing, and creative. We will work, study, and listen so we may learn, so we may teach. We will cultivate self-reliance. We will struggle to resurrect and unify our homeland. We will raise many children for our nation. We will have discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will live as models to provide new direction for our people. We will be free and self-determined. We are African people. We will win.
I'm so happy to have the young people participating, even if I have to go after two of them. I'm Cameron Swallow, and the story that I've chosen to read an excerpt from is from the brand new 2022 short story collection called Stories from the Tenants Downstairs by Siddiq Fofana, who first visited Kenosha as the guest of Carthage College last spring, and who's been invited back to present in Antioch, but we're going to get him for a day, and he's going to come to a KUSD high school and do a reading there too. The story that I've chosen has as its main characters some young girls a little bit older than the ones who just spoke, and spoiler alert, it's not a happy story, but this is a happy and hopeful part, and I like to go back to it and think about how things could be different. The story's called The Young Entrepreneurs of Miss Bristol's Front Porch. Oh, and please, if you read it, you know that Siddiq is writing just how he talks and how the people in the story talk, and I'm not going to try to do that. Today I decide I ain't finna wait for Bernita and Narili. I walk up there by myself and help Candice set up the candy. They got a candy store, the entrepreneurs. Miss Bristol's house is one of the oldest ones on our block. Some people say it's been here since slavery days, and I believe it. Yellow paint don't just chip like that overnight. And it's the only house on this block that got a chimney. But this summer, it don't look old. It looked like it got character. It's one of them really hot days, and Candice got a dirty fan sticking out the window, but it's just a slap in the face. Candice says she missed New York, but she needed to get away, even though it wasn't her choice. She talking to me like I'm her therapist. I'm nodding my head up and down, but not too fast, in case she might just realize what she's doing, confessing to a little girl. So I'm keeping it cool, looking at her long hair, how she chew her gum all strong and confident. I'm thinking about how many boyfriends she must got at home. I had a hard year, she say, and I want to ask, well, why come you hit that teacher? But instead I ask, is you really gonna send a letter to them TV people? She go, yeah. And we both know Bernita ain't so fond of that idea, and I go, Bernita, Schmernita. She laugh at me, run in the house, and come out with a piece of paper. Read this, she say. Dear WCMC, me and my friends got a business, and we only 13 and 14 years old. We sell candy, combs, pictures of famous people, CDs, crunchies, and some fruits. We poor, and everybody that we know is poor, but we doing something positive for the community. I believe you should videotape us and put us on TV, because we got $396 and we aiming for $500. Sincerely, Candice Bristol Wallace. P.S. We all respectful girls, kind and got manners. Wow. I guess that's how easy it is. You can just send a letter and get put on TV. I never really thought about how the TV people find the news, but I would have thought it'd be something more complicated than that. I mean, like if somebody got shot, maybe a satellite from TV send them a beep beep. And then someone at the news station go, ooh, look like we got some news, and they jump in the van with the camera and that long microphone. But when Jamel got shot by the tracks 2 summers ago, I didn't see no vans. A lot of people was standing at his funeral because there weren't enough chairs. I kept expecting the news people to show up, but they never did. This is a good letter, Candice, I say.
I'm State Senator Bob Wirch, and many times when I watch the evening news, I'm frustrated when I see stories of violence, hatred, and oppression. What helps me is I go back to my hero, one of my heroes, John Lewis. And this is a reading from a memoir of the movement by John Lewis. He talks about his philosophy. One method of practicing this approach when faced with a hateful, angry, aggressive, even despicable person is to imagine that person, actually visualize him or her as an infant, as a baby. If you can see this full-grown attacker who faces you as the pure, innocent child that he or she once was, that we all once were, it is not hard to find compassion in your heart. It is not hard to find forgiveness. And this, Jim Lawson taught us, is the essence of the nonviolent way of life. The capacity to forgive. When you can truly understand and feel, even as a person is cursing you to your face, even as he is spitting on you, or pushing a lit cigarette into your neck, or beating you with a truncheon, if you can understand and feel, even in the midst of those critical and often physically painful moments, that your attacker is as much a victim as you are. That he is a victim of the forces that have shaped and fed his anger and fury. Then you are well on your way to the nonviolent life. I'll end by saying, make good trouble.
I am so disappointed in myself. In my head, I breezed up that. It wasn't a problem. Hi, I'm Jeff Weiss. I'm the superintendent for Kenosha Unified. My first year here, and when I saw the order of the speakers, and I figured I would probably be towards the end, I had 2 thoughts in mind. Number 1, keep it short. And number 2, try to pick something that was fun. So this is a poem from Nikki Grimes called Time to Play. Mama says to play outside, wish I had a bike to ride. I'll fly to the moon instead, steer the rocket in my head. I'll pretend to find a star no one else has seen so far. Then I'll name it after me, Africa Lawanda Lee. But for now, I'll grab some chalk and play hopscotch out on the walk. Thank you.
Y'all got to remember, I'm 6'28". I can just breeze up that. You're right. It's yeah, only 2 years till 30. So, y'all, if this is your first read-in, we had the last two take place online while closer to the heights of the pandemic, and part of what, when the committee that forms this, we wanted to do was to relax, calm down, really reflect back on ourselves after we've done all the readings. And in the online sphere, we found that felt great. And to lead us in that meditation was Dr. Monica Cummings, who's ready to come up here now. This is her first time here in person. So, first time here in person, I'd like to bring up Dr. Monica Cummings to lead us in a meditation.
Hi, family. Hello. And I invite you, good? I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs, get grounded and centered as we prepare our minds, our bodies, and our breath to meditate together. Bring your awareness to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose if possible. And as you're breathing, just notice how your body responds to each breath. Is your breathing smooth? Is it rapid? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Continue to inhale and exhale through the nose if possible. Noticing how your body responds to each breath. Now I want you to notice what happens with your stomach as you breathe. As you inhale, does your stomach move? As you exhale, does it move? Now I want you to intentionally, as you inhale, let your stomach expand like you have a balloon in your stomach. And as you exhale, let it release. As you inhale, let your stomach expand. This is called belly breathing. As you exhale, let it release. Belly breathing is good when you feel anxious, when you're stressed. Belly breathing can help you to ground yourself. For all you students out there, if you belly breathe before an exam, it'll help you focus better. Continue to belly breathe. Relax into it. As I explained to you our next meditation, which is called Tense and Release, another tool that students can use before an exam or before a game or before you come up in front of a bunch of people and speak. I'm going to call out body parts. And as I do so, I'm going to invite you to tense those body parts. However, I want you to keep breathing while you do it, okay? Do not stop breathing while we do this. If you can belly breathe, that's good. If not, that's okay as well. So continue to focus on your breath. And now bring attention to your mouth. Just yawn, like open, give your jaw a workout. Open and close your mouth a few times and just notice how that feels. Now I want you to tense your face, tense your eyes, tense your mouth, and just notice how it feels for your face to feel tense. And as you exhale, release. And moving down to your shoulders. And I want you to tense your shoulders, tense your neck, and just notice how it feels for your neck and shoulders to feel tense. And as you exhale, release. And just notice how your shoulders and neck feels when you release. Moving down your arms, tense your arms, clench your fists, and just notice how it feels for your arms. And as you exhale, release. And just notice how it feels to release your arms and your hands. Moving down to your stomach and your lower back. And tense your stomach by pulling it in, and tense, and just notice how that feels. And as you exhale, release. And just notice how it feels to release the tension. Moving down to your legs, tense your thighs, your calves. And just notice how it feels when your legs tense. And as you exhale, release. And just notice how it feels to release your legs, your calf muscles. Moving down to your feet, clench your toes, tense your feet, and just notice how that feels. And as you exhale, release, and let the tension go out of your feet, let your toes relax. Bring your attention to your entire body and tense your entire body. And notice how that feels to tense your entire body. And as you exhale, release. And notice how it feels to let your body relax and release. Bring your awareness back to your breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Checking in with your body, noticing what still feels tense, noticing what feels relaxed. And when you're ready, wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers. And if your eyes are closed, slowly blink your eyes open, coming back to an alert state of mindful awareness. Thank you for sharing your meditation with me today. I wish you all peace and happiness.
Right. She's like, look, see.
Watch yourself. All right, we're safe. Okay. Well, can I get another round of applause for our readers today? Our guests, participants. You know, when we're for the past 2 years doing this online, we could only see really the readers, but not everyone else around. And it's great to get this kind of sense of community back for the African American Read-In. It's wonderful to see you all here, to listen to the claps, the reactions, the nods, the snaps, the mms coming in as people are reading, telling their truths, telling their stories. Having that all back feels amazing and incredible. So a shout out to everyone here as well, not just the readers, but everyone that's come out today. It's been wonderful hearing you here. So I don't have fancy closing remarks, but I've had a thought that has been kind of in my mind, because this is the first year I've been here and I'm not a reader. So I've been thinking about stars and how stars make what's in the universe. A star explodes, all of its materials blasts out, and each piece of those stars form different planets. They form those materials. They form us. We all have pieces of stars in ourselves. And I like thinking about that when we have folks coming up to share their stories and share their words, that we've all have stars in us, and we're all speaking as stars ourselves when we come up and speak our word. In the past, I've done a challenge for everyone here to read. As a librarian, I like seeing everybody read. It's great. Reading's wonderful. This is called the African American Read-In. We read. Something I want to highlight here is that To read takes writers. Takes writing. So I have a different challenge for y'all this year. Do any of y'all know what it takes to write something? Any? Maybe a piece of paper. Oh, yeah? Imagination, a piece of paper and a pencil. Yeah? What was that? Creativity. Any of that, and all you need to do with it is just write it down. A word, a sentence, a poem doesn't have to be much to be something written. My challenge for you this time, not only just read, go ahead and write something. Put some of your words down. Make your star, your inner star, known to the world. Thanks for being here. We still got the bookmobile outside. We have some more books out there. We have more cookies. Feed your star. That's a good one too. But thank you. Oh, and we have more books for sale as well, right outside. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for the guests, and you all have a nice rest of your Saturday.